Chapter 772, Great Destruction of Yanluo, Ad 1. Zhang Yi's timely rescue made Gao Changkong's goal of killing Zhu Zheng fail. Now the situation is getting more and more unfavorable for him. He couldn't break through Zhang Yi's defense, especially with the condition of Time Echo. Zhang Yi could predict all his attack methods. Time Echo is the superior ability of the Zen Seal, which can suppress in all directions. It directly sealed Gao Changkong's deduction ability, not to mention Zhang Yi's abnormal defense ability. At this time, the combat power of the entire Blizzard City is gathering here. As long as it is delayed, the defeat of the Samsara team is a matter of time. Gao Changkong took a deep breath and decided to give up this operation. "Let's retreat," he shouted to all members of the Samsara team in the communication system. When the team members heard this, they couldn't help but feel a little sad. They failed in this operation, and they almost succeeded. For this day, they didn't know how many times they had rehearsed. However, it was God's will. They had imagined all the factors in Blizzard City, but they didn't consider Zhang Yi, a stranger from the outer city. Although they felt a little regretful, they still followed Gao Changkong's instructions and rushed back. The alien who had always been called Martial Arts Field, but few people knew his real name, opened a dimensional door. Gao Changkong took a deep look at Zhu Zheng and then set his eyes on Zhang Yi. "Zhang Yi, you win this time today. I underestimated you. But next time it won't be so easy." Zhang Yi didn't say anything, but Deng Shintong came with a sword, looking at the space door with a sharp look. It's hard to imagine that it leads to a certain direction outside the city. This is the retreat that the Samsara team prepared for themselves. "Do you think you can escape?" Deng Shintong asked in a deep voice. Gao Changkong glanced at Deng Shintong with a bit of contempt in his eyes. He didn't deliberately humiliate him, but simply didn't take this defeated general seriously. "Deng Shintong, you should thank Zhang Yi for saving your life. Otherwise, you would have been dead." Deng Shintong suddenly became excited, but he did not dare to act rashly, because at this time he was indeed no match for Gao Changkong. He could only look at Zhang Yi, hoping that Zhang Yi would help him stop the man in front of him. Zhang Yi was also unambiguous, lowering his eyebrows and looking at his right hand. The dark flames of the Holy Judgment filled the air. "I am also good at the power of space. Guess if I am here, can you escape?" Others may not be able to do it, but Zhang Yi can destroy their space channel. Gao Changkong frowned slightly. At this time, two people suddenly appeared in the air. Jushin and Sun Lushuan. The two fought fiercely in Jushin's solo field for a long time, but they never decided the winner. At this time, Jushin received Gao Changkong's order, and then he lifted his ability. He figured out the current situation and walked to the front of the Samsara team with a sword. "Captain, you take everyone away first. I will cover the back." The team members all showed reluctance on their faces. Deputy Captain, because being the last one to leave meant that he had to wait until the space gate was completely closed before the mission was over. If he stayed alone in Blizzard City at that time, it would definitely be a death sentence. However, everyone couldn't say more. Because from the beginning when they joined this plan, they all had the awareness of sacrificing their lives. Every member of the Tengu team climbed up from the bottom and was trained by Gao Changkong himself. And every one of them hated the injustice of Blizzard City. If it were someone else today, they would sacrifice themselves without hesitation to give other teammates a chance to survive. Gao Changkong did not reject Jushin's proposal. He put his hand on Jushin's shoulder and said in a deep voice, "You will always be my brother. You must be my bravest brother." Jushin took a deep breath. "Yes, Captain." He took out a number 5 compound from his pocket and stuffed it into his mouth without hesitation. Zhang Yi couldn't help but sigh. "Again? So you all like to take drugs, right?" Although he had always looked down on this kind of disposable drug that harmed himself in the past. However, when it comes to a life-and-death battle, seeing the opponent using drugs still makes him feel numb. Compound number 5 takes effect very quickly. It can quickly burn out a person's potential, and even overuse can lead to death. However, at this time, Jushin has already realized that he will die, so he did not hold back when he exerted his strength.
Boom.
The sky-high green flames burned around him. With him as the center, the area within a kilometer radius instantly turned into a green sea of fire. Zhang Yi, Sun Luxuan, and Deng Shintong all retreated quickly, unwilling to let this flame of unknown composition touch them. Then hundreds of soldiers around them did not have time to retreat and were directly submerged by the flames. In the blink of an eye, green flames spewed out of their 7 orifices, and they wailed as they were burned into skeletons. The amazing thing is that their clothes and weapons were not damaged at all, and only their flesh and internal organs were burned to ashes. Great destroy Yanluo. Jushin slowly raised the huge green sword. His eyes completely turned green, and his body was also surrounded by that kind of terrible green flame. When a captain-level figure completely started to risk his life, no one could not help but tremble. Gao Changkong led his men to leave from the space gate one by one, and Zhang Yi and the others could no longer stop them. After all, no one could step over Jushin, the god of death. Open kill, go. Ahahaha. Jushin raised his head and laughed wildly. That was the last carnival of a person who was about to give up his life. When a person is not afraid of death, there will be nothing in this world that can restrain him. The flames in the sky began to surge wildly, wantonly and indiscriminately slaughtering everyone around. Zhang Yi realized that something was wrong and silently retreated behind the crowd. Jushin would definitely die, and there was no need for him to risk his life with a dead man. I'll go protect Xu Shui, you guys deal with this guy, Zhang Yi said, and wanted to run away. But old man Sun Luxuan grabbed his arm and said to him with a smile, everyone in the samsara team has escaped. Xu Shui is safe now. Young man, let's fight the enemy together. Zhang Yi's expression darkened, and he nodded helplessly and agreed. At this time, Zhu Zheng had already left the war zone under the protection of Lingshanqing. After he escaped, the first thing he did was to take out the satellite phone and contact the distant Shengjing district headquarters. Hello, I'm Zhu Zheng from the Jiangnan district. Code name, Tiger. On the front battlefield, facing Jushin, who was determined to die, Zhang Yi and the other two did not dare to be careless. We must control him. Otherwise, Blizzard City will be messed up by him. Sun Luxuan reminded the two. I understand. Deng Shintong directly opened the Great Shumi environment and used illusion to influence Jushin. Chapter 773 Hell Guillotine, Add 2. In order to avoid being affected by the illusion, Jushin had to close his eyes. But after all, he was not like Gao Changkong, who had such strong 5 senses, so his combat effectiveness and sense of direction were greatly affected. Zhang Yi, Sun Luxuan, and the other two attacked him from 3 directions. This battle was not easy, and the flames of war flattened the land within a few miles of the entire combat command center. In the end, Jushin died because he overdrew his essence with compound number 5 and died of exhaustion. This is a captain-level monster with strong attack power and extremely difficult to kill. No wonder so many people didn't believe Deng Shintong's fake death. Zhang Yi looked at Jushin's body and breathed a sigh of relief. It's a pity that Gao Changkong and the others escaped. Zhang Yi sighed. They can't escape. Deng Shintong gritted his teeth. Even if they escape Blizzard City, they will be listed as S-level wanted criminals and hunted by the entire Huashu kingdom. They will definitely die. Zhang Yi said, but with Gao Changkong's strength, it is very difficult to kill him. Gao Changkong's ability is very abnormal, although his deduction ability is different from predicting the future. However, he can use this power many times in battle, which can improve his strength faster than ordinary people. Especially when a certain person is selected as a target, he can conduct targeted training. Coupled with the 6 powerful seals of Tianwu Baluan, the power he possesses is quite terrifying even among the captains. Zhang Yi pondered. Deng Shintong's ability index is only 9,200, so Gao Changkong must be at least around 9,600. He should be the alien closest to the level of Epsilon at present. At this point, he added, except me. Just as the 3 were chatting, Zhu Zheng's voice came from not far away. Don't worry, he can't escape. Zhang Yi looked over. Although Zhu Zheng looked a little tired, He was not injured because of the good protection of everyone. He just accidentally rubbed it when he retreated, and his arm was bandaged. Zhang Yi couldn't help asking, "Do you have a backup plan?" Zhu Zheng smiled and said, "Of course." He raised his head and looked up at the sky. "He will definitely die." Zhang Yi didn't know where Zhu Zheng got his confidence from. If he hadn't arrived in time, Zhu Zheng would have been killed by Gao Chongkong. Now he ran out with a confident look. But at this moment, Zhang Yi's ears suddenly heard a clattering sound of iron chains being dragged. He and Deng Shintong couldn't help but look in the direction of the sound. Suddenly, a misty fog surged in the air, and the sound of iron chains was getting closer and closer. From the mist, 2 iron chains emerged, one black and the other pure white. They gradually changed from shape to intangible and quickly spread forward. There was a breath of death spreading around the iron chains. Gloomy, terrifying. It makes people feel fear from the depths of their souls. Zhang Yi's inner warning sounded loudly. He quickly teleported hundreds of meters away, far away from the 2 chains. Deng Shintong and Sun Lushuan also took the same approach. A moment later, they saw that the direction pointed by the 2 chains was a confused major of Yanluo Guard. He didn't know what happened, and his body was tied up tightly by 2 chains. "What is this? What is this?" He screamed in fear, and then struggled desperately. But no matter how hard he tried, using his supernatural powers, he couldn't damage the chains at all. Zhu Zheng, who was originally full of confidence, saw this scene, but his face changed immediately. How could this happen? The chains on Major Yanluo Guard were tied tighter and tighter. At this time, Zhang Yi saw a scene that made his hair stand on end. From the mist, 2 tall figures slowly floated out. They were more than 2 feet tall, one wearing a black robe and the other wearing a white robe, and both wore pointed high hats on their heads. The black hat said, "Catching you," and the white hat said, "You are here too." Black and white impermanence. Zhang Yi couldn't help but whispered. Almost no one in Huashu country is unfamiliar with the image of these 2 ghosts. The 2 ghosts were eerie, their feet were empty, and they were floating towards the Yanluo Guard, who was tied up with chains. On the entire ruins, everyone was too scared to move. Even Zhang Yi and the other 2 were subconsciously silent, because from the 2 ghosts, they felt an extremely terrifying power of rules, far above the captain level. The Major Yanluo was extremely terrified, and the Yanluo guards around him were also trying to help him out. But no matter what they did, shooting with guns, attacking with supernatural powers, the chain did not move at all. In a moment, the 2 ghost messengers had come close to him, holding the soul-locking chain in their palms. The 2 ghosts did not even look at the others and dragged the body of Major Yanluo forward. In front of them, a huge platform suddenly appeared slowly. It was like a huge door, reaching straight into the sky, towering into the clouds, and unknown how many miles it was. The 2 ghosts tied Major Yanluo's body to the platform. The shape of the door gradually appeared. But when everyone saw it clearly, they were all scared, and their necks went cold. Because it was not a gate to heaven, but a huge guillotine. Thousands of feet high in the sky, a black and sharp gate knife was hanging above the clouds, with a slanted blade. With one cut, people and animals would be split into 2. Major Yanluo was so scared that his soul was gone, and he shouted desperately, but his body was locked tightly by the soul-locking chain, and he couldn't break free at all. Bang! The guillotine fell from the sky, and after a moment it fell down, cutting from his crown to his feet. Major Yanluo's body was neatly divided into 2. If you look at it from the front, you would even think that he was fine. But after the blade fell, all the strange phenomena disappeared soon. The ghost messenger and the guillotine turned into smoke and dissipated. But the body of the Major Yanluo was split into 2 parts, and he fell down. This horrific death made everyone gasp, because from beginning to end, no one saw anyone attack the Major. It was like being cursed. Zhu Zheng's body was shaking, not because of fear, but because of anger. "Gao Chongkong, you tricked me again." Zhang Yi had an idea, and he keenly realized that this matter was unusual. Marshal Zhu, what's going on? Who wants to attack our peoples? Zhu Zheng looked at Zhang Yi deeply. He was silent for a long time before he slowly said, I asked the person in Shengjing district to help me kill the traitor Gao Chongkong. This is the person's ability, Hell's Guillotine. Anyone who is locked by him will be killed. This is the rule of death. At this point, he gritted his teeth and said, Damn Gao Chongkong, he must have predicted all this. He actually escaped. Chapter 770, 4 Medium. This incident touched Zhang Yi deeply. It is said that the Epsilon-level alien in Shengjing has the ability to chase and kill over 1,000 miles. But this is the first time he has seen it with his own eyes. However, what he did not expect was that the first time he saw the ability of the Hell Guillotine, he actually made such a big mistake. He was shocked by the horror of the Hell Guillotine, because the power of the rules made him feel deeply afraid. Zhang Yi thought in his mind, if he was locked by this power, would it be possible to escape? However, from a practical point of view, Zhu Zheng originally planned to use the Hell Guillotine to kill Gao Chongkong, but Gao Chongkong used some means to divert him. In other words, in order to achieve the Hell Guillotine's must-kill, certain conditions must be met. Zhang Yi's heart was a little more vigilant. It seems that he must treat all the requests made by Blizzard City to him with caution, especially not giving his personal belongings to the other party. Maybe in the future, it will become a weapon for Blizzard City to deal with him. Zhu Zheng was angry and regretful, but he was also glad that he survived safely. He looked at Zhang Yi, his eyes showing deep gratitude and appreciation. Zhang Yi, this time thanks to you. If you hadn't arrived at the critical moment, I'm afraid we would all be in trouble. Sun Luxuan and Deng Shintong looked at Zhang Yi, their eyes also full of gratitude. Even a proud Deng Shintong was not angry because Zhang Yi stole the limelight. After all, Zhang Yi was their savior. Zhang Yi smiled in his heart and said modestly, I just did what a citizen of Jiangnan district should do. Zhu Zheng was very satisfied with Zhang Yi's attitude. He had already thought of 100 ways to promote Zhang Yi. But right now they have other things to deal with. After the battle, the heads of various units and departments in Blizzard City rushed over and expressed their loyalty to Zhu Zheng. Zhu Shui, are you okay? Great. I was so worried when I heard about the rebellion in the command center. I was afraid that something might happen to you. Woo woo woo. Zhu Shui, I was so worried about you. These people didn't play any role when they just started fighting, but now they are running over to cry for their parents. After all, everyone is not stupid. There is a traitor in Blizzard City. Zhu Zheng will definitely not give up. He must actively sever his relationship with the Samsara squad at this time to protect himself. Zhu Zheng narrowed his eyes and scanned everyone at the scene. These high-level people in Blizzard City are all here, but some of them must have colluded with the Samsara squad. Otherwise, it would be impossible to bypass everyone and carry out this operation with just the few people in the Samsara squad. From Zhu Zheng's cold eyes, Zhang Yi seemed to see that a big purge was about to begin. But what does that have to do with Zhang Yi? Zhu Zheng turned around, smiled, and praised Zhang Yi a lot, and then asked him to have a good rest first. Of course, Zhu Zheng did not hesitate to praise Sun Luxuan and Deng Shintong for trying their best to protect him. You go back first. I will arrange for the medical staff to treat you immediately, Zhu Zheng said. Zhang Yi looked at his body and found that he had not been injured in the battle. So he said, I don't need to waste medical resources. I am not injured. Zhu Zheng nodded and left surrounded by Lan Xinqing and others. Sun Luxuan smiled and said to Zhang Yi, Young man, you are very good. Then he followed Zhu Zheng and left. At this time, the rebellion had just been suppressed, but the city was not stable, and he needed to protect Zhu Zheng's safety at all times. Soon, people from the medical department came to treat the wounded on the scene. After the Samsara team made such a fuss, many soldiers who came to the scene to support were killed or seriously injured. Deng Shintong's mouth was still bleeding because of the use of compound number 5. But he was like nothing happened and could come and chat with Zhang Yi. I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. I thought you would be killed by Gao Chongkong. Zhang Yi glanced at him and said indifferently, I didn't expect you to be alive either. Deng Shintong smiled indifferently. I live for those who didn't survive. During the execution of that mission, I realized that something was wrong. There must be a traitor in Blizzard City. It's just that the people I suspected the most were the people in the city at that time, and I didn't expect it to be Gao Changkong. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. At that time, Gao Changkong was still on a mission at Biting Lake. Logically, they could not obtain specific information on the battlefield, let alone communicate with the Samsara team in time. So, in fact, they still have accomplices in Blizzard City. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. He had seen that a big purge was coming. This is the price of a failed rebellion. A large number of people will die. Deng Shentong, how did you escape from Jiangning City at that time? Zhang Yi suddenly asked curiously. Deng Shentong smiled mysteriously. This, in fact, is nothing special. He narrowed his eyes and said lightly, "It's just a trick." He did not explain in detail, but Zhang Yi had roughly guessed his method. Deng Shentong's ability, the Great Shumi Illusion, can use light to control people's vision, thereby affecting the five senses. It is not difficult to create an illusion of his death for Feng Wangyuan Run on the battlefield at that time, or even for the command center in front of the camera. However, Zhang Yi still has a question that he is very concerned about. He came close to Deng Shentong, who was taking out a box of medicine from his body and stuffing it into his mouth. It should be some kind of healing medicine. How much do you know about the ability of the Ypsilon in Shengjing? Zhang Yi asked about the man's ability. He is a very stable person, and he cares about anything that may take his life. Deng Shentong looked at him strangely. How should I know? Such an important thing, do you think people will let you know easily? Zhang Yi said, don't you think it's scary? If the person who was locked by the black and white impermanence just now was you, do you think you could escape? Deng Shentong shuddered when he thought of the scene just now. Don't think too much. As long as you are honest and don't learn from that Gao Changkong, this matter will not fall on you. Zhang Yi was very dissatisfied with Deng Shentong's answer. It seems that your Deng family doesn't know either. Deng Shentong suddenly became unhappy. Zhang Yi immediately stared at him. What are you looking at? I saved your life just now. Is this your attitude towards your savior? Deng Shentong was speechless for a moment. Thinking about it carefully, it was really Zhang Yi who saved his life. He held it in for a long time and said slowly, in short, I guess it should be something similar to black magic or curse. It must require something as a medium. Therefore, you should be careful about the things around you. Thanks for staying tuned. Much to go ahead. Please comment and subscribe if not already.